Ladies and gentlemen, it's Doom time. Have you ever wondered why some villains stick in our minds while others fade away? Doctor Doom is one of those characters that just won't let go. But what exactly makes him so unforgettable? In a world with crazy, powerful cosmic entities, Doctor Doom stands above them all. He's one of the most overpowered, crazy, powerful characters in all of Marvel, and he is coming to the MCU. So I thought I would take this opportunity to take you on a journey of getting to know Doom. This is part one in a 5-part series that aims to make you an expert on all things Doctor Doom. We called this series Character Brews, and it aims to dive deeper into popular, relevant characters so you can be confident in your knowledge. So let's get started with what makes Doctor Doom so iconic. What is under that brain of his? Why does he do what he does? What motivates him? And if you stick around to the end, I'll even let you in on a little secret. Here, come closer. A little bit closer. A little bit closer. Doctor Doom has a weakness, and it's incredible. It's great, but more on that later. Doctor Doom, the ruler of Latveria, is one of Marvel's most iconic villains. His origin story is a tragic one, with Victor Von Doom, a brilliant and ambitious young man, succumbing to his own ego and a freak accident that leaves his face scarred. This sets him on a path of revenge and domination, and he's been a thorn in the side of the Fantastic Four and countless other Marvel characters ever since. As a nemesis to the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom has had some of the most epic battles in comic book history. I mean, who can forget the time when he stole the power from the Beyonders and reshaped the Marvel Universe into his own image? Or the countless times he's clashed with the Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, and the Ever-Lovable Thing. These battles have cemented his status as one of the most formidable villains in the Marvel Universe. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Today, we are focusing on Victor's psychology, not his achievements, but don't worry, we'll get there. Victor's complexity is rooted in his tragic backstory. He was born to poor gypsies in the small European nation of Latveria, and Victor lost his mother after she made a deal with Mephisto to free her people from the persecution of the Baron. She was killed by a soldier, and her soul was trapped with Mephisto forever. Not long after, Victor lost his father to the King's Revenge, and alone, the young Victor discovered his mother's trove of mystical artifacts and set himself on a path of darkness when he realized that her soul was trapped in hell. His incredible scientific acumen won him a scholarship at New York State University, and he left his native country seeking knowledge with which to salve his wounded soul. One of Victor's top priorities in the start of his journey into who he is today is to free his mother's soul from hell, and that's exactly what he had hoped to accomplish when he came to America. His desire for power and recognition is understandable, but his methods are morally reprehensible. This gray area, it makes him a fascinating character to explore, and his motivations are often more relatable than those of his superhero counterparts. So what about Doctor Doom's rivalry with Reed Richards? What puts it toe-to-toe with Professor X and Magneto, or Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, or Batman and the Joker? Victor and Reed are pretty much matched in intellect, but Reed is just a hair above Victor, and that drives Victor and his ego insane. Victor is known to be able to solve problems that Reed can't, like healing members of the Fantastic Four and inventing time travel, but Reed still just barely outsmarts Doom in most other instances. Not only that, but Reed has everything that Victor doesn't have. Growing up in privilege, the family, the friendships, the celebrity-like status. I mean, if you were Victor, wouldn't you be jealous too? Now, you might ask yourself if Doctor Doom ever takes his mask off. And the answer to that is complicated, much like Victor himself. Because canon itself has gone back and forth on what the state of Doom's face is, we need to take a step back and analyze some things. For starters, we do know what part of this story is canon. That Victor's face was damaged when he was conducting an experiment in college to contact his mother from beyond the grave. He miscalculated, but refused to accept that he could have made an error, so he convinced himself that Reed Richards sabotaged his experiment, and he's hated Reed ever since. This debate instead lies within what the actual damage to his face is. Since most creators opt out of showing his face as a way to add mystery, there has become two different ideas on how bad the damage is. Creators of Doctor Doom himself, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's view was that Doom had one single scar on an otherwise handsome face. However, his arrogance and vanity was unable to accept even a small singular scar or imperfection. But here is how Kirby drew Doom taking off his mask. Not very noticeable, right? Now, the other interpretation is the face being so scarred that it is beyond what medical science can do. So there's a logical reason for him to choose to keep his face under a mask. There is actually a merging of both ideas where the accident caused a single scar, but Doom hastily placed a metal mask on his face before it had a chance to cool down, resulting in horrific burns and the mask being seared onto his face. So in other words, the scar was little, but Victor made it so much worse as a result of his impatience. I mean, you have this guy who, out of pure arrogance, refers to himself in the third person as Doom, sees himself as much more than just a man, but he's got this little imperfection on his face, serving as a reminder that beneath all this power and hubris, he's just a man. He wants to be perfect, but can't be with the scar, so he hides it so nobody ever sees it. Now, Doctor Doom's quest for power is relentless. He is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goals, even if it means sacrificing those closest to him. This ruthlessness is what makes him such a formidable foe, and his battles against heroes are almost always epic in scale. If Doom was asked by Galactus or the Living Tribunal to sacrifice his soul, his right arm, and his grandma's dog in exchange for 30% of their power, bro, Doctor Doom isn't even hesitating. You know why? Because he's going to use that 30% to whoop some butt, take 100% of their power, and then use that power to get all his stuff back, because he is that guy. One of Doctor Doom's greatest assets is his intellect, which he uses to outmaneuver his enemies at every turn. He's a chess player, always thinking several moves ahead of his opponents, and this level of strategic thinking makes him a force to be reckoned with. And his foes often underestimate him at their own peril. Like when Doom ripped Thanos' spine out just for talking smack to him. He's always straddling the line between genius and madness, and his intellect is rivaled only by Reed Richards, but his arrogance, his ambition, and desire for power often cloud his judgment. And this complexity makes him an extremely compelling character, one who's both terrifying and respected. What's striking about Doctor Doom is the way he walks the line between villain and antihero. While his actions are undeniably evil and messed up, his motivations are often rooted in a twisted sense of justice. He sees himself as a visionary, willing to take drastic measures to reshape the world in his image. And Latveria, the place he rules over, the people love him. This grandiosity makes him a compelling character, one who's both terrifying and fascinating. Now, Doctor Doom also has the insane ability to adapt for anything. Picture this. He has Batman's prep time skills, Tony Stark's engineering and robotics level of intellect, the brain of Reed Richards, the combat skills of Daredevil, the sorcery skills of Doctor Strange, and the willpower of Captain America. Doom is constantly reinventing himself, finding new ways to overcome his enemies and achieve his goals. So if you're the Fantastic Four, the Doctor Doom you beat will wipe the floor with you within another year. It's just common sense to never underestimate him or what he will do to ensure he never loses. So you might be wondering by now, how does Victor ever lose? And guys, this is probably the greatest thing about Victor. His greatest weakness is that he is self-destructively petty as hell. He has self-sabotaged his own plans because Reed Richards wished him luck. And the thought of Richards rooting for him was unbearable. He has literally gone into other worlds where he and Reed are best friends and destroyed them because he hates Reed that much. He pretended to be Daredevil and stole his identity just to show that he could do Daredevil stuff and be Daredevil. He declined Namor's request for help because Namor didn't come to him first, and Doom is no man's second choice. So through his arrogance, his overconfidence, and insane level of pettiness, Victor actually leaves himself vulnerable to situations where people would eventually beat him. It's the greatest weakness for a villain I have ever seen, and I just can't wait to see things like this happen in the MCU. So in conclusion, Doctor Doom's complexity is rooted in his tragic backstory, his ruthless ambition, and his unwavering dedication to his twisted philosophy. He's a villain who's both terrifying and pitied, and his story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power. He'd be genuinely unrivaled if not for his petty arrogance that leaves him vulnerable to losing. But that's what makes him so much fun. That's what makes him such an interesting character. But what do you think, folks? What makes Doctor Doom such an iconic villain to you? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more content on iconic villains and superheroes. And if you're still on that Doctor Doom hype train, this is part 1 in a 5-part series called Character Brews. So consider checking out the next part where we dive deep into Victor's origins. The thrilling conclusion to this series releases in December, and will offer you my fully curated theory on how Doctor Doom will enter the MCU. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the flippity flip.